Hi, and welcome to Black on the Mat, the space where culture, community, and yoga intersect through our lived experiences. We're your host. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Seisha. Join us on this journey to bring representation and shed light on often overlooked stories on the yoga mat.
We're creating an accessible roadmap into yoga for Black people, building a community in this predominantly white space.
And letting folks already into yoga know that we're here.
Welcome back to Black on the Mat. We're so excited to have Kat, a new yoga teacher, with us today. First of all, we want to say just congratulations to you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to y'all today.
Well, we met because we teach at the same studio, and we met actually in a trauma-informed class, and I fell in love with you. But I want to know, I want people to know more about you. Can you tell us a little bit about you? I know that you say yoga is like a love letter to the body, emphasizing inclusivity and accessibility, but tell us about you. Tell us about like why you got started in yoga.
Yeah, so I really got started doing yoga because I wanted to hang out with my friends, and it was a way for us to have a weekly meetup. So I started in college, and it was something that I didn't really anticipate falling so deeply in love with it that it just became my life, my way of life. But initially it was just a way for me to hang out with my friends, for us to move. It was also like a cheap thing that we could do together. So that was just my college way of finding yoga. And then it really developed over time for me, going into yoga spaces and seeing no one that really looked like me or made me feel like super comfortable or confident about being a plus size girl doing yoga. And to move to the Bay, and I started seeing more teachers like that. And then I was like, I kind of feel like I want to be at the front of the room. And I want to be that person that makes other people feel seen and feel comfortable. And so really that's what led me into doing a teacher training. And yeah, yeah.
Do you have any specific memories, those moments, that breakthrough moment? I know you said you saw more teachers. Was it like an aha in the middle of a class, or how did that come about for you?
Yeah. So I saw a teacher in one of the classes up here in San Francisco, and she was a bigger bodied woman, and she just had such a grace, but also a gravitas where I felt like, it's so rare sometimes to see someone's that I felt like looked like me at the front of the room. And she just had a way of offering cues in her sequencing that made me feel like, oh, this is a class that she's thinking about the people who are in the room, and seeing students who might be struggling. And I felt like I hadn't gotten that from a lot of other teachers, and that was the moment for me to say, I'm not seeing this as often, but here's one example of a woman who's doing that. And I felt like I want to do that. So I went on a yoga retreat, just like a solo yoga retreat in Costa Rica. And from that experience, I had a lot of clarity, and I just told myself I'm going to enroll somewhere, and I'm just going to put myself out there and give it a try.
You guys both have similar stories. I don't know if Seish, if you were picking up on you guys have so many similar stories. The difference between the three of us is y'all decided to do yoga teacher training because you wanted to be a teacher. I was like, I'm just doing this for myself. I'm like, I don't plan to teach whatsoever. And in the midst of it, I was like, oh, I have to teach.
Yeah.
What was it like teaching your first class, after teacher training for you? What was that first experience?
So I had to teach as I was in my training. And I will say, my very first day getting up and doing a class, I had a woman get off her mat, and she was like, "Are you going to actually teach us?" And I was like, "Excuse me, ma'am, I've been doing that this whole time. But I don't know if she was expecting something different. And I was a new yoga teacher and I felt so like a deer caught in the headlights because I hadn't anticipated someone, the audacity.
The
Like,
audacity is right. The
and I'm
audacity.
like, I'm up here offering, it's a lovely little sequence that I am trying out. But that was my first ever like wheels off, I'm up here teaching experience, and that shell shocked me. And it rattled me, and it also instilled this sense of like imposter syndrome. Like, am I going to actually get up here and teach you something where I'm already thinking that that's what I'm doing, but this woman is projecting something else onto me. So I feel like through the years, because I've done 2 teacher trainings at this point. And so the first one that I did, that's where this experience that I'm talking about. And I feel like from that teacher training, I felt that imposter syndrome the whole way through. And this teacher training that I just completed right now, that we're speaking about from Lotusland, that has instilled in me this sense of like agency of like, I know what I'm doing and I have a gift, or like every other person, I have something to share. So that first experience really rattled me, and it took some time to kind of get that off, and get back up there and try again. So,
And
yeah.
what I was thinking hearing this is it's funny that there's so many commonalities in honestly in our experiences as far as starting teaching, all 3 of us and every guest that we've had on. It's just been a matter of like, yeah, I didn't feel like I belonged in this room. And people questioned if I was the teacher after I'd already walked in the room. And this is regardless of size, this is regardless of gender. It is only regarding skin color, right?
Mhm.
And the way that we are seen and represented, which is quite literally one of the reasons why we are here
Yeah.
in the first place.
And a shout out to Lotusland because I feel they are so inclusive. I feel
Mhm.
like they do care in a different way. I feel comfortable. I feel seen at Lotusland.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.
I love that. So what would you say now that you've been teaching, and you've gotten through this new training? How would you describe your teaching style?
I feel like at the root of everything that I do is a sense of like playfulness.
Mm.
Like I hope that you laugh, in this class that I will share with you. I hope that you find moments where they're tender moments where you can smile and just like have like a lightness and a sense of joy. That's really all that I hope to bring in my yoga classes. Like I feel like sometimes I go into classes and it's serious work that we're doing, and like that's good too. There are teachers that do that and I go to those teachers for that, but I feel like I'm a tender-hearted, gentle, just like warm hug kind of feel, that I hope people who come to my class, I feel like the world makes us so hard automatically. We go out and we have to do XYZ. And when I come to the mat, it's a place where I feel like vulnerability should be celebrated and nourished. So that's really the feel that I hope people have when they come to my class.
As a new yoga teacher, like tell us about the good, the bad, and the what the F.
Okay. So the good, you're not so jaded. I feel like if you've been doing it for so long, you can kind of get into a sense of like repetitiveness. So I feel like because I am looking at it with new perspective, new lens, I try to keep things fresh and ask questions. So like I'm not afraid to like go to my teacher and sit at their feet and say, I don't understand this concept, or I don't understand this pose or breath technique, and just get their insight. I feel like I'll always feel a little like a new teacher because I'm always curious and wanting to learn more from my teachers. So that's what I feel like is so good about it. Like I'm never afraid to learn from someone else. And that just enlightens my own practice and I'm able to share that with others. So that's really great. The bad, I guess it's like, yeah, going back into that like that negative place of where you don't think that you're good enough or you compare yourself to other teachers, like I'm still making mistakes when I teach. And what I've been trying to do is like laugh those moments off. I said right, but I meant left. Let's go. Like, you know.
Right.
um, and I will say working with kids has really helped to break me out of that like critical thinking. Because kids will call you on anything as it's happening.
Facts.
And you kind of have to be like able to brush it off. Um, and also be the leader for them to show them like, it's going to be tough, but you got to get back up and try again. So I really love that aspect. And the ugly, let's see, really briefly. I will say like Western yoga has just like such a way of like whitewashing everything and just diminishing the like rich history of yoga. And I feel like that is what I feel like my first training was just that. They wanted us to just be carbon copies of like, here's the basic sequence, here's how you learn it, and this is the only way to teach it. So it's very rigid. And I felt like if I didn't do it a certain way, then I was not a yoga teacher. And like unlearning
Mm.
that is an ugly process, realizing that you have all the answers within
Mm.
is really deep. And so, yeah.
I love that that's a space that you have really dedicated yourself to in your yoga teaching, right? Because it is resonant in your practice and quite literally in your body. So how would you say you do create a welcoming and inclusive environment in your classes?
Yeah, so I think it starts at just saying hello when people are coming in, looking folks in the eyes and just making sure that you're checking in with them, how you doing today? Like and sometimes people just want to come right in and go onto their mat and allowing that too, right? Reading the room, also just setting the tone of the space. So I really feel like I know there's some teachers who don't like music in classes, and I respect that, but I feel like, oh, I need some kind of music to be vibing to, right? So like setting the tone of like how it feels when you walk in. So my playlist is really inclusive. There's so many different artists that I like to have and different genres. And so I feel like that can be inviting in itself, where someone who like walks in who's never done yoga before and they hear a song, they're like, wait, I know this artist. Like I feel, a sense of like I belong here, or like, so that was really how I started feeling accepted in spaces by teachers providing that. And so like I feel like that's my way of paying it forward. It's just keeping that a tradition for me. Um, and then again, like before I even start teaching, I kind of sit down in front of folks and just share a little bit about myself. And I feel like that vulnerability of just letting everybody know yeah, I might be leading you, I might be the teacher in front of you, but I am a person just like you, and we are in this together. So creating that vibe, I think, is really important.
Would you say like yoga, being a yoga teacher has changed you? I know it's changed how I show up and how I am as a person. I'm curious for you, has it changed your personality or how you're showing up in the world?
Absolutely. You know, I found out that I was actually autistic
Hmm.
later in life. So I found out in 2020. I did my first teacher training in 2018, and I kind of stopped teaching after I took my training. Like I fell out of it because I just kind of felt like I didn't really know where I belonged. And I just had so many like questions left unanswered. And I didn't really feel like I had a teacher who I could ask these questions to. So it was very much like like a personal journey in that first one. And then this second time around, um, that's when I feel like I started incorporating like realizing how integrated my yoga practice is and like how I show up on and off the mat. And so it was really like understanding like, wow, like when I'm doing yoga, when I'm teaching yoga, this is the one place that I felt like I never had to mask. I never had to be somebody that I was not. And like whether somebody like respected that or questioned that or whatever, like I'm going to show up and I'm going to be me and I'm going to offer this class from my heart and my devotion for this practice and for the lineage and the teachers that have taught me who have like truly to me saved my life because without yoga, like without having that place to like bow down and like have that retrospective finding that internal peace, like I felt like I was living in a world of chaos and I was living in a world where like I kept feeling like I needed to be smaller or I needed to like erase parts of myself to exist. But yoga taught me that like, no, 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 no. Like what you're doing is really erasing everything that makes you you and the beauty of everything that you are. And so yoga has taught me to celebrate that and to like hopefully show a mirror to other people and say like that they have that within themselves too. So yeah.
I love that. The other day, I was in the car coming to a well-being fair that I was going to be doing Reiki at, and Sade's Lover's Rock came on, and
Mm,
it was like this epiphany. I started ugly crying. I'm like, yoga is my lover's rock. It's the place
mm.
I swim to when there's storms, whatever. It's my everything.
I love that.
And I love that you, because you are teaching, you are also trying to create these spaces for people in their lives. You're laying the groundwork for that. What would you say has been the most rewarding part of teaching yoga so far?
Oh, yes. I think just the experience of a person after you get up and teach, and someone coming up and saying thank you for that, like the smallest gesture, like that's to me, I'm like, wow, like, I've taught other classes, right? I've been a gymnastics teacher, I've been a rock climbing instructor, I've been a drama teacher. I know teaching is just something that's in me. But with teaching yoga, like that is the one place where I have gotten like, thank you. Thank you for just getting up and doing that. And it's so simple as like, oh my gosh, and I realized and I never thank my English teacher for getting up and teaching me an English exam, like anything like that. And
That's
so,
exactly what I was going to say.
yeah, right?
But
But
why
that
don't we? That's a good question. Why is it the only
you
yoga teachers
should.
that we're thinking?
as as the former math teacher in the room, I say
Okay.
that all the time. That when I taught math,
Yeah,
everybody bolting out of their class, out of the room.
exactly.
If they could have been a hole in the wall, it would have been the shape of their body. Versus at the
Like,
end of yoga, where people actually stop, like, "Oh, thank you so much, I appreciate
exactly.
it."
Yeah.
It's so like, and when I realized that, I was like, this is the one place that people after this class that I've come up, and sometimes it's a class where I feel like I don't even know how I just made it through that. Like, we're
Been
here on
there.
the other side, like, and someone comes up and says, like, thank you. Like, and it's like such a deeply, like, I touch them in that way, like, where I'm like, wow, like, I don't do that in any other aspect. So I think that that is something that's really special about teaching yoga in particular. But I will say for teaching kids yoga, when they remember something that I've taught them, and I'm just sharing a mudra with them, and then I ask them, weeks later, what's your favorite mudra? And then they all have these answers that I'm like, wow, like that's deep. They're 10 years old right now and they're talking about this. So it's special to me for sure.
Like you took two yoga teacher trainings. You explained earlier why you did the two. What advice would you give to people who are considering a yoga teacher training and starting their journey in yoga?
Oh, I would say do your research. Really, really know the kinds of teachers who you'll be learning from. Understand the company that you sign up with. Um, and like really think about like the experience that you want out of it. You know, if you're going into it blindly, like I just want to experience, I just want to deepen my practice. You know, there's no wrong answer. Just kind of do that internal work before you sign up. It's a lot of money, you know, to pay to do this. So I think that is really important to understand like where your money is going to, how you'll be supported post certification, and are the teachers that you're going to be learning from teachers that you want to sit at their feet and learn from, you know. That was a really big thing for my first training. um I honestly needed, I felt like I needed to just be in a training and I wanted something fast and quick. And while I got a lot of good things out of it, there were also some not so good, some toxic things that I had to unlearn. And so I wish that I didn't have to go through that. But if I did a little bit more research beforehand, maybe I wouldn't have. So I think research is really, really important.
And I have one more question for you. What does it mean to be Black on the mat?
Okay. I think it just means to me just being unapologetically yourself and also honoring your lineage, right? My ancestors that might have wanted to express themselves in this way. And when I am on my mat and I am truly being me, and honoring my ancestors, I feel like that is what I'm meant to do. And to be seen in this space as well is just so powerful. Um, and it is the ultimate act of radical self-love, I think. And I feel like that's empowering and beautiful in so many different ways. And so, yeah.
I love that. We need you. We're glad that you decided to take the second teacher training and that you got what you felt, that you were being seen. The world needs you. So we thank you for bringing this beautiful practice that feels like love, a love letter to your body, to the rest of us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. Please let us know and let everybody listening know where we can find you, what you have coming up, what we can look forward to from Kat.
Yes. So you can follow me. So my Instagram account is like all of my style and really like my love letter to my inner child. So if you follow me on Kathleezy, that's where you're going to find all of my lifestyle content. I am launching this summer my it's so fresh and new that I'm like stuttering at talking about it even, but I have a business that I'm opening. It's called LightofMine. It's a yoga and mindfulness creative endeavor that I'm starting. So you can definitely find me on LightofMine Yoga on Instagram too. It's so fresh and new, but I have a lot of fun things that will be coming later this summer. So yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on, and we can't wait to see more of what's coming.
Yes, thank you.
Well, that's it for this week, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on Black on the Mat.
Let's continue connecting, sharing our stories, and sowing the benefits of having a yoga practice in your life.
Subscribe to Black on the Mat on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
I'm Seisha, and you can find me at Thick Thigh Yoga on all social media platforms and thickthighyoga.com.
I'm Danielle, and you can find me at HelloWell with Danielle on IG, YouTube, and HelloWellWithDanielle.com.